Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Mark, a trainer here at WEX Field Service Management, and today we are covering payments and collections. This webinar will cover payments from the customer page, processing payments versus recording payments, credits and refunds, payment without an invoice like unapplied payments, stored payment methods, customer payment settings, how to put accounts on hold for collections, taking payment on an invoice, payment search and sync status, payment reminders, transactions and statements, and user permissions. We'll do a live Q&A at the end where you'll be able to get your questions answered live on stream. And without further ado, let's dive into WEX FSM. So we need to take a payment. Maybe a customer is calling to pay you over the phone. Maybe they have mailed a check to you and you need to, that is to pay for multiple jobs. One of the easiest ways to just take a payment is to search for your customer and take a payment from the customer page. To do this, we will type our customer in the customer search here. If they're in your system, you will find them here. Click on their name and it will bring you to their customer page. Then you will navigate to the Payments tab. Each customer profile has a Payments tab that has all of their payment information documents here. Now, you have a couple options for taking payment. You have process payment and record payment. Now, we're taking a payment here from the customer page. Later, I will show you how to take a payment from an invoice, and we will see these same options on the invoice. Some details about taking a payment. We have process payment, which is going to process through WEX FSM and send the money to your bank account. That would be like taking a credit card payment, debit card payment, whether you're swiping that or manually entering that. Basically, if you're going to process the payment, that's going to go through WEX FSM. And when you click on process payment, the first thing is which invoice or invoices do you want to pay for? You either will select a single, or if you're staring at a check that is for paying for three invoices, then you would select those invoices. For today's example, let's just select one, and then you'll scroll down and then select the payment method. If they are paying with a card, you enter their card information. If they're wanting to pay through their bank account, an ACH transaction, you can grab that from a check and enter that info here. And then you can store card information. Right here, when you enter their card for the first time, they're making their first debit payment, let's say. You can store the card. We are PCI compliant, so their information is secure in the system. And that store card, when you take the payment, it will store that information securely in the system and will also show under the stored payment methods in the future. This is great for customers who are maybe super busy. It's hard to get a hold of them, and they're just like, just put my card on file and make payments for whatever is due. You'll click process payment. That will then process. Now, in terms of how payments work and get into your bank account, they will batch at the end of the day. So for credit and debit card payments, those will settle in batches and they are funded typically by the next business day. And the batch process time is up to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you're taking payments throughout the day. It gets to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the cutoff for that day. Any payments made after that will be batched with the next day and then, be available the following day. But those that are batched before, or those that are entered into your system before 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, they will batch through the night and be available in your bank account the next morning. For ACH and check payments, those are funded within 2 business days. So the time for that, the cutoff for check processing is 7 p.m. each day, Eastern Time. So you're entering checks into your system at 7 p.m. Those will go into a batch, and then those will be available in 2 business days into your bank account. So that is processing payments. We also have record payment, and that is if you have, oh, well, so record payment will not process through WEX FSM. That is going to just record, it's going to document that you took a payment, but you'll still need to process elsewhere. Some examples, if someone pays in cash, you can record the payment, but then you'll still need to take that cash to the bank for the money to get into your account. The process is exactly the same. Select singular or multiple invoices, come down below, enter the payment method. Let's say that they paid with cash today. And then you can add a memo if you want, and then hit record payment. You'll see the total customer balance will go down. And then you will be able to, when you're on the job, see that payment transaction. Now, if you are selecting invoices, that's attaching the payment to an invoice, and you'll see that payment attached to the invoice in the job. But if you want to take a payment without an invoice, which may not happen all the time, but let's say someone's like, I gotta go, but let me pay you real quick for, uh, the job you did. Maybe you haven't created an invoice yet for that. You were going to do it soon, but you hadn't made it yet. But the customer is now on the phone with you, ready to give you money, and you never want to turn that down. So you could take the payment without an invoice and then just create the invoice and apply it to that invoice later. To take a payment without an invoice, we will choose this option here, which is available whether processing or recording payments. So payment without an invoice, let's say they're going to pay $100 for a service that we did. And then same thing, just scroll down. Let's say that they paid with a check. Enter the check number and the date, and then hit record payment. You'll see a yellow banner show up, and click, you'll see a drop down. And any payments that have not been applied to an invoice, you'll see here. Now, I would recommend going and creating the invoice first, because then you will be able to click on the edit payment. And then you will choose, oh, wait, edit. There we go. And then let's search for our, oh, wait, reassign payment here. And now we want to apply this to an invoice. And so I already know it's invoice 13458. So you just search for the invoice you know this is for. You may have just created it before coming here. Select the invoice. And then what we want to do is we want to pay the invoice. So we're going to apply this $100. So we need to remove the payment without an invoice because we're no longer paying without an invoice. We are attaching this $100 to this invoice. So original payment, $100. The total payment today, $100. And this is ready to go. So you just hit save. And now that has been applied to the invoice. So that is unapplied payments. Now add a credit or refund. So, there's many different scenarios you may need this if you want to give credit and refund, choose that here. Credit only and refund only. If you're refunding, that will refund to the original payment method. So if they paid with, let's say, a Discover card, it'll go back to their Discover card. If you do, well, let's do an example. So credit only, and you can apply a credit to an invoice. Let's say that one of your technicians maybe mess something up and you're wanting to comp them a little bit off their invoice, whatever the scenario. You will select the invoice. Let's say we're going to take some money off of this one, and we're going to give them a $50 credit, and then you would hit apply credit. And that will subtract the credit from the invoice. You will see the new balance on the invoice. When the customer goes to pay the invoice, they will be able to see the credit as a line item, and then you'll see a history of that on the invoice when you're looking at it in the job. And then let's go back, credit only. If you want to just add a credit, let's say you're doing a promotion where it's like, if you sign up for our maintenance plan, we'll put $100 credit on your account for a future service. You could do credit without invoice, $100, and then you could even put a memo, spring maintenance plan promo. And if you're syncing to QuickBooks, you will need to select which income account you want that to sync to, and then hit apply credit. And done. And then those credits will just save here. It will let you know that you have a credit not applied to an invoice yet. Then 6 months from now, you end up doing a service for them and you say, oh, hey, by the way, remember, you're a maintenance plan customer. You want to go ahead and use your credit? Yeah, let's do that. Sounds good. And then you just hit edit, uh, apply credit to invoice, select the invoice, and then this will apply the credit amount. And then you'll see the total there after the credit, and hit save to apply that. All right. So next, let's take a look at customer payment settings. So we're still on the customer page. And just to recap, from the payments tab, you can take payments, you can process payments, record payments, add credits or refunds. Just quick before we move on, you can see payments and credits by invoices here. If they are on any payment plans, you'll see those here. Their stored account information will show up here. It will just show the last four and like what payment type it is. It won't give you their full info. And then the customer statements, if you are sending statements to your customers, will show here. But if we scroll down and look on the left side, we have a couple payment options in terms of customer preferences. So what payment methods do you want to accept from this customer? Now, usually you'll take the money any way you can get it. So we're going to keep this as all, but perhaps there's a certain, commercial customer where you need a check, and then you can make it to where they cannot pay with a debit or credit card. They have to pay with a check. And then payment terms. You can set the default payment terms. Maybe your default payment terms is set to due on receipt. But for this customer, every time you're going to want net 30. And so that will just save you some time in the future whenever you create an invoice for them. Instead of taking the standard payment terms of due on receipt, it will update it to the payment terms you set here. Okay. So that is setting some payment settings from the customer page. Now, what we have done so far is taking a payment from the customer page. This does require you to either take an unapplied payment and apply it to an invoice later, or to select an invoice that has already been created. If you want to take a payment on an invoice, which is very popular, a lot of technicians will actually build the invoice in the field and take payment. Or if you have a lobby, an office where you offer products, maybe people can come in and purchase things from you. You can create an invoice on the spot in the office and then take a payment through that invoice. To take a payment on an invoice, first we need to navigate to an invoice. I already have a job pulled up, so go to a job. We're here just on a general service call for my customer, Justin, and we'll scroll down, and I have already created an invoice here, and I want to open the invoice and take payment. So let's click on the invoice. We're in the invoices and payments section as a drop down, and then click on the invoice to open it. If for whatever reason the invoice is not in an open draft state, then you can't edit it. So that's just a pro tip. You do need to change the status to open draft in order for it to be editable. All right. And so here's our service for $300. Looky here, we have applied a credit to this. So there it is. It's showing the credit and now the final total for the customer. And then we'll scroll down and your payment options are below. Now, these are the same payment options that we covered earlier with the same batch times and everything. Pay now is process payment, which will process through your WEX FSM system and send the money to your bank account. And record payment is just documenting that you took a payment and you will need to process outside of WEX FSM. Then you can send this to your customer. So we'll click send. Choose who you want to send this to, and then hit send invoice. That will be sent out to the customer, and then the customer will have a make a payment button. So they'll be able to pay online. And that is the same as process payment. So if I'm a customer, I'm sitting on the couch. Oh, I just got an invoice, for my AC. Let me pay this real quick. They make that payment. That is now sent to your bank account. Next, let's take a look at how to search for payments. There's a great place to search for payments easily and view auto sync status if you're syncing to QuickBooks. To do this, we will go to Jobs, Payment List. The payment list is a big list of all of your payments in your system. You can filter by date range. Maybe you want to look at all payments you took last week. You can search by payment type. Was it a processed payment with Pay Now? Was it a recorded payment with Record Payment? Or look at your credits. What payment type? Payment status. And you have some other search options here, customer name, payer name, and the amount. Now, if you're looking at the auto sync status here, this is the sync status of each payment. So when a payment is made in WEX FSM, if you're syncing to QuickBooks, that will sync over to your QuickBooks. If there's an error, this would be where to check. Let's say that you're in QuickBooks, you're looking for a new payment that you just took, and you don't see it. You can come to this page, the payment list, search for the payment, and then you may see that there's an error, and then you can read details about what it wants and troubleshoot from there. Ideally, no errors will happen, but we all know sometimes that does happen with technology. But this is a great place to just double check that if you do run into any sync errors. Also, we talked about unassigned payments. That would be taking a payment without an invoice. You can click here and it will show all payments that are not assigned to a customer. And then we don't have any currently, but if you do, from here, you can actually click on the payment and then assign that to the invoice that it needs to go to. It's the same thing as we did from the customer page. Next, let's look at how to send payment reminders. And that's actually in reporting. So if we go to reporting, just click on reporting in the main navigation here. And then from the reporting page, we will go to receivables. The receivables report is, the in-office best friend for anyone who likes to get paid. This is going to show you all of your invoices in your system, but we're thinking collections. We're thinking we've got a lot of jobs out there and a lot of outstanding invoices that are past the due date. How can we get those customers to pay their bill? I would recommend first search for payment status. We want to know who's overdue. If I've made an invoice for you, it's in the system and it's not due yet, that's fine. You have time to pay. These are the customers who they officially owe you. It is past the due date. It will show you filtered totals so we can see we have over 7 grand out there in the world we need to collect on from the date range selected. And what's nice about this, if you want to personally reach out to each customer, you can do that, or you can send payment reminders in bulk via text and email. So if you click on select all and send invoices, it's going to send to everyone in the filtered list. It'll be like a reminder of, hey, just a reminder, this is a balance that is due. And then you are able to, it will send to the preferred communication method that you have saved on their customer profile page. Hit send. That will send out a reminder to everybody. And it's really nice when a lot of people pay their bill all at the same time after a reminder. We have 3 more topics before we get into our Q&A, so get your questions ready. First, let's see transaction. So, you're processing transactions in your system. Every day you're taking payments and you'd like a place to see all of those transactions back to back. To do this, we will go to payment options in the main navigation, activity, transactions. On the transactions page, interesting. Hold on, let me refresh this. I had this opened earlier, so we wouldn't have to wait. Okay, let me refresh this again and we'll let that load while we go to statements. Okay, we'll go back to transactions. So statements, you have processing statements and WEX FSM statements. To get to the statements page, you will go to payment options, activity, statements. And processing statements will show your processing fees for processing through WEX FSM. Basically, when you process a payment, there will be a processing fee. That fee is then subtracted from your batch, and then that batch is sent out to you. And you can see those processing fees just so you're in the know of what those are from here. And then these are your subscription statements. So those are two separate charges. You have your monthly subscription that you just pay each month, and that is what these statements are. This will be a breakdown of basically how much you're paying each month for your subscriptions. Maybe you have the $10 text messaging add-on, Profit Rhino, whatever it is. That will be here. And then you can, oh, I think if you click on this, it'll download it to your computer. All right. And the very last thing that we're going to cover as it relates to payments is user permissions. So we're going to go to, oh, you know what? I forgot. Transactions. Let's go back. Okay, so we're on statements. Let's check our transactions. So we'll go to payment options, activity, transactions. And then these are all of your processing transactions. And you can search by batches. There's a lot of different filters that you can update here. If you update or change any of the filters, you will need to refresh. Now, we don't process any real payments in this fake test account, so I don't have any actual payments, but when you are actually processing, you'll see those transactions here, and it will show you the date, status, amount, who it's from, the payment method and type, and invoice number. So you can quickly go back to the job and take a look at it if you need to. But that is payment options transactions. And the last thing we'll look at is user permissions. So we will go to settings, user management, users. Each user has permissions that you can set for them that will basically manage how they're able to take payments in the system. So we'll go to my field technician here, Dustin Bailey. And then scroll down and you have some permissions here. So manually enter cards. Like, do you want them to be able to manually enter card information to take payment, let's say out in the field? Do you want them to be able to manage recurring payments, perform credits and voids, and perform financing actions? So there's a lot of different permissions, but these four relate to how they are able to take payments. Usually you want everyone on your team to take payment. Let's get the payments in here. But maybe you have someone who has messed up a payment. Maybe they created an invoice with the wrong pricing one too many times, and you just want to stop them from doing that. So you can turn that off. And then the other scenario is your technician calls you and says, "Hey, I'm trying to take a payment right now, and it is not letting me, and I don't know why." The first thing I would do is come here and check because this may be off. And so, oh, that was it. Let me turn that back on, hit save, and now they'll be able to take that payment because their permission has been updated. Alrighty, so that is all the information that we have for today's presentation. I hope you learned something. We're going to go to our Q&A now, but before we do, I just want to say thank you so much for joining. My name is Mark with WEX Field Service Management, and this has been Payments and Collections.